Hello there. The UK is about to pull the plug on Rumble. We are living in dark times, and I'm very worried about our future. I've lost count of the number of times that I've heard people say, just go over to Rumble because you can say what you like over there. Free speech is unrestricted. Well, guess what? It looks like that option is now going to be removed. Because once it's through royal assent, the UK Online Safety Act will gradually strangle the life out of free speech in the UK. And it will strangle the free speech out of Rumble, or force Rumble and similar platforms out of the UK. And we've already witnessed the direction of travel that our politicians and Ofcom will take once they have the real power to do so. And that revolves around the case of Russell Brand. And here, not for clarity, but to fulfil the needs of a new social media etiquette of having to say it for self-preservation. I'm no fan of Russell Brand, truly. And why do I say I have to say it? Because we are living in an ever more Marmite society, where people generally either love or hate something. And if someone has opposing views, the instant reaction is to hate them and everything they stand for and demand instant cancellation or worse. Any nuance has long ago been consigned to the bin. And if anyone supports something some people hate, that person is to be branded as the same as the object of their hate and must therefore attract equal hate. So anyone asking that due process be followed where Russell Brand is concerned must be a supporter of his, so must be hated as well. That's how the modern UK works, I'm afraid. But I do demand that proper due process is followed, and I have no brief for Brand at all. I watched a couple of his vids a while ago to see what all the fuss was about, but I haven't been back since. And due process is not being followed here. It's following a new, disturbing route, possibly fuelled by the passage through Parliament into law of that online safety bill. Because as soon as the claims have been made against Brand, Dame Caroline Dinenage, the chair of the Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, was writing letters to social media companies asking whether Brand was monetised or not, and if he was, were they going to demonetise him? Obviously with the intent of, dare I say it, bullying them into doing so. And a big question is, do those letters amount to some form of defamation? And there has been no due process, no criminal or civil guilty verdict, other than by politicians and the press, that is. Now YouTube confirmed it had demonetised Brand, but another video sharing platform, the aforementioned Rumble, declined to follow suit. We regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous that the UK Parliament would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or to earn a living from doing so. We emphatically reject the UK Parliament's demands. Now, my immediate thought on this was, how about MPs who are under investigation? They don't even get named in some cases. We don't know who they are, and the press never names them. Is their pay stopped immediately? If these new Dame Caroline Dinenage rules apply, then why not? What's good for the goose, etc. And if the public does dare ask for immediate naming and action to be taken, we get the usual pious, hypocritical talk of due process must be followed, while snouts remain firmly plugged into the trough that we fill with our hard-earned money. So it's due process for them, but guilty until proven innocent for everyone else. So I expect to see immediate rule changes in the House of Commons and the House of Lords to remove pay and allowances from any MP or Lord as soon as a claim of a serious offence is made against them. We must not tolerate double standards in our society. And if this is not done, then the good dame should apologise, withdraw those letters and resign. Well, in a proper, balanced and non-hypocritical world, that is what would happen. And then there's the case of, if Brand is guilty of anything, if he's found guilty, whether or not any of his previous employers had facilitated any of that behaviour or actively turned a blind eye to it. Now, when I first started producing politically based videos, I was warned by many viewers to make sure I had a secondary video platform to hop onto, just in case I fell foul of YouTube's terms and conditions. But I could already see the direction of travel, that in the end all online content would fall under the same rules, meaning all platforms would have to abide by those same rules or shut down. And the Times is saying today that the chances are that unless Rumble bows to the online safety bill, they will end up being unable to operate in the UK. Rumble is based in North America and is robustly free speech orientated. And if it sticks to its guns over that, like it has with the Brand issue, then they will have to cross swords with Ofcom or pull out of the UK. Now, many people will say, that won't help because we can use a virtual personal network or VPN to get around that anyway. Something that was actually brought up in the parliamentary debate about the online safety bill. Now, the UK government has left a route in that law to get messaging services to snoop on people using their end-to-end encryption services. So it's not beyond the wit of Parliament to easily extend that into spying on people's VPN traffic. Especially as, according to experts, the bill is quite loosely drafted. And that amounts to a distinct weakening of our privacy. But it's not just privacy that's under threat. The impositions this law places on those who host or publish content on the internet are huge. And they are therefore very expensive both legally and technically. Something that only the biggest operators will be able to deal with. Anyone with a smaller offering might find it far too difficult and pricey to deal with and end up shutting down. Look what happened to the very smaller sites when GDPR was imposed on us. But this will be much, much worse and threatens to leave the internet to gradually morph into a big, government-controlled, corporate-only setup, where risk-averse corporate executives gradually push the smaller and therefore riskier content creators off their platforms and only host big media. A prospect that the mainstream media, both news and entertainment, are relishing the thought of. Back to the good old days, an internet emulating the days of the hard copy newspapers. An internet where only the BBC, Sky and the big Hollywood type outfits have the wherewithal to get their content in front of you. An internet where startups find it extremely difficult to get a foothold. And because the threat of fines and imprisonment hangs over the heads of those who host content, an internet where all content has to be cleared by the censorship algorithm prior to publication. No more personal live streams, for example. And an internet where all content creators have to indemnify the media platforms and hold some sort of insurance. That is where I fear we are headed. And if successful in the UK, then the rest of the world will follow this Chinese-inspired route to a government-corporate partnership of vested interests, control and censorship. And don't naively think that Ofcom will defend our privacy and freedom of speech. Ofcom will be there talking about how it protects our freedom of expression and our safety by striking the right balance between the two. But most of all, it will emotively claim it is protecting our children's safety, while allowing mission creep to turn it into a sinister new Ministry of Truth.